Hello everyone, I'm Brian Croy Dragon and welcome back to Box Adventures. Last night I died when I warped back to my house. I died in the ceiling. The ceiling. And so here I am. Thought I'd do something else and just walk along the shore, see where it takes me. Oh, hello. Jeez. Took you long enough. Come on. Oh, jeez. Well, looks like they've pretty much told me to go to sleep. Bed is occupied. What? No, 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 no. God's sake. That cat, not my cat. Miku's cat. Who is this bed occupied by? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? There's nobody there! Okay, let's go to downtown. Yes, sir, downtown is a ghost town. Hmm. Oh. I've heard phantoms be referred to as a lot of things. Vampires, Mothmen. Not sure I see a resemblance to either. Vampires are something that I've always known about because, well, they're so mainstream. So mainstream that well, everyone knows about them. When did I first get introduced to them? I don't know. I was first introduced to the Mothman through Mystery Hunters. Christina was investigating the Mothman. No, wait. Araya was investigating the Mothman, and Christina was investigating the Banshee. Both supposed omens of death, so it fits. Oh god, I love Mystery Hunters. I have one of the two DVDs. Unfortunately, the Mothman episode is not included on either of them to my understanding. But we still get some pretty good stuff. Like on the one I've got, we get the Bigfoot and Skunk Ape episode, the first episode I ever saw. Hmm. Uh, you get the Whooper and Ogopogo. And then you get the extinction of the dinosaurs and the location of Imhotep's tomb. Hmm. Bigfoot and Skunk Ape, both hominid cryptids. The Whooper and Ogopogo, pretty sure both Canadian. Extinction of the dinosaurs and location of Imhotep's tomb. Not sure I see a connection, other than that something that scientists have been trying to figure out for a long time. Of course, I suppose that there's a lot of things that keep paleontologists up in the night. Long discussions into the night. Were they cold-blooded? Were they warm-blooded? Oh, jeez. Have we ever gotten a definitive answer? I'm pretty sure they're warm-blooded, but I'm pretty sure they were warm-blooded. I've seen more proof. I've seen more arguments for them being warm-blooded than I have for them being cold-blooded. Huh. Okay, then. It was rare for Christina and Araya to be both investigating the same thing, but on occasion they did. Anastasia was a pretty notable example. It's not a. What happened to her isn't a mystery now. You know, we know for a fact she's dead. Hello? Are you coming up? Hello, Alex. Good morning. Oh, jeez. Alex. If I recall correctly, there was one where they both investigated the map in Guari. Oh, that was such a great show. Yeah, strangely, Truth or Scare never did anything that covered the Mothman. And for a show that was supposed to take documentaries on that type of subject and introduce them younger to a younger audience, you know, format them for a younger audience. Um, it's strange. I mean, they did Bigfoot because they could find a documentary on Bigfoot that they obviously couldn't get the rights to. So either they couldn't find a Mothman documentary, or they could and couldn't get the rights, excuse me, the rights to reformat it for a younger audience. And let me tell you, it was reformatted for a younger audience in theory. I mean, yeah, it had what's her name from Buffy and the Vampire Slayer, Michelle Trachtenberg as the host. Yeah, but still, it very seldom did anything to censor the. I mean, they weren't graphic or anything. These the recreational scenes from the original documentaries, but they were frightening. The Cartoon Ghosts of Ireland episode, which was one of four that, well, it was one of the four episodes that reformatted the entire Cartoon Ghosts of the British Isles series for a younger audience. It's a bee. And the fact that they got the rights to reformat an entire series is interesting. I mean, honestly, surely they could have gotten a few more series like that to reformat. Personally, I would have liked if they had gotten two companion documentaries, one for Bigfoot, one for the Yeti. Uh, give them their uh, own. Holy, what the? Oh, Illager or whatever. I mean, I love the Bigfoot episode. It's the first one I ever saw. Uh, do I have some issues with it? Well, yeah, I mean, understandably, they probably couldn't go to the original location for the documentary that they chose to reformat for a younger audience. They probably couldn't go to the original location where Patterson and Gimlin had their sighting, because it probably looks much different. So that's forgivable. Okay, occupied by what? Who? There's nobody there! Hey. But the suit they did for recreating that sighting, um, I mean, obviously you're not going to find a person with the proportions to match, so that's forgivable. But the suit was not even the same color. If you look at the footage, the Sasquatch is quite obviously brown. That the suit for the recreation of of the sighting was quite clearly black or dark gray. Excuse me one moment. Okay. Hey baby, where you going? Okay, what did I just... Okay, what is this? Is this poisonous? I have no idea. Whoops. Okay, where's enough? No. By what? Is there an invisible man sneaking in my bed? Given my luck, there probably is. I love documentaries, cryptozoological and paranormal. Those are two of my favorites. I also quite like movie documentaries. Universal Horror, one of my all-time favorites of the movie documentary genre, subgenre. Narrated by my favorite actor, Kenneth Branagh. It pretty much covers the classic Universal Horror franchise. And the impact it has had. Of course, it isn't strictly Universal horror movies that are featured in that documentary, and some clips we see are unfortunately of films that are now lost. What? Another favorite, The Making of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It covers the making of the Disney adaptation. It's a very good one, a very good documentary, narrated by John Rice Davies. I highly recommend it, along with Universal Horror. Excuse me. A decade ago or so, or near, Turner Classic Movies aired a series of documentaries, and one of them was on the epic film genre. Oh god, I loved that. Had people I recognized, such as Kenneth Branagh, on it, and covered films that I recognized, such as Charlton Heston's Antony and Cleopatra. It is, and I quote that documentary, one of the great unsung gems of epic film. when some people think Shakespeare, they don't think epic. They think what Laurence Olivier did with Hamlet, made it claustrophobic. But Shakespeare is quite often a state. Shakespeare's plays are quite often a stage for an epic, be it on a small scale as a standalone or a much larger scale where it's part of a series, such as well, what well, you had The Hollow Crown, adapting plays that were connected. I mean, obviously, in the second series went for the War of the Roses plays. What? Are you okay? The first one went, uh, well, not too much earlier, but you'd call it the generation preceding, I guess. Adapted Richard II, Henry IV Part 1 and 2, and Henry V. Whoops. I should probably make a list of the top movie documentaries I recommend at some point. Uh, I also quite like the Walking With series. Again, Kenneth Branagh was featured as the narrator. And of course, he wasn't for the North American broadcasting. I don't know what it is with America sometimes, with Americans, because, how do I put this? They replaced Kenneth Branagh's narration with some no-names narration. Kenneth Branagh was a consistency. Like other times, it was just some nobody narrating. It already has. Okay, by what? By who? I swear, there is an invisible man sleeping in my bed. Okay, let's see here. The same was done for the Eyewitness series. Andrew Sachs, who I don't know, he's probably a big actor in Britain. He was replaced by Martin Sheen, who, in contrast to the Walking with series, isn't a no-name actor. And with the Walking with series, in Britain, always Kenneth Branagh, and they kept his voice for the DVD release and the VHS releases. DVD releases, VHS releases, they kept his voice, kept his narration. Even here in North America for the DVD and VHS releases, they kept his narration. Condemning those lesser thespians to having their narration lost. Whoops, how I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna put these back. And apparently in the United States specifically, this wasn't done in Canada, because I remember I was watching the original Canadian broadcast of Walking with Prehistoric Beasts. The the original American broadcasting had it hosted by Ray Romano to promote Ice Age. You can find it on YouTube. Jeez. I mean, Walking with Prehistoric Beasts, it's all good PG rated fun. I mean, up here in Canada it is anyway. Don't know what it is down there in America. Oh, Lord. Hey. Again. What? Mm. No, I've actually been considering doing some sort of cryptozoological or paranormal documentary using Minecraft as a medium for it. Not sure if I will. What the? Templar Knight? Oh, jeez. Where am I? I'm cornered. What was that armor he was wearing that it came out as a Templar's insignia? Templar Knight, Crusader Knight, I don't care, it just came out that way. What the hell was that armor? Okay, hold on 1 second. Alex? Hello? Male. It's a male chest plate. Okay, then. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. It was basically just a surcoat tunic over chainmail, so it makes sense. Alex, what are you doing down there? Historical documentaries are another favorite of mine. One's about the Trojan War, and going into the historical aspect are really good. It was from watching those that I learned that the historical Troy was a Hittite dependency. Volusia it was called. As the Hittites called it. I mean, given where it's located, it's only natural. Oh jeez, I don't know who it was. I'm pretty sure it was the History Channel. They did a 2-disc documentary release about the Trojan War but for some reason or other focused on the Persian invasion of Greece. You know, Xerxes' invasion. For the first 2 documentaries, with the rest of the 3 being about Troy, the Trojan War. One of the ones on the Trojan War was actually narrated by Leonard Nimoy, and that was really cool. Oh, 9 minutes of battery life left, okay. Oh, you want to know what a favorite documentary of mine is? Mysteries of Egypt from National Geographic. Oh man, that was so great. Omar Sharif, excellent person to be teaching us about Egypt, ancient Egypt, Tutankhamun. Oh god, it was just so great. I was just a kid. Uh, I was out with my parents. We were pretty much spending the day going from garage sale to garage sale. And now I know that's probably not everyone's ideal um well, anything. But I really it's a good family experience. Oh man. Good to be with the family. Oh, it was great. But what was really great for me is oh jeez. Hold that thought. There we go. It's dead. I mean, it's one of my favorite. Mysteries of Egypt, probably my favorite documentary. Period. I don't know. I'll probably have to make a list of my top 10 favorite documentaries. Series, standalones. I'll have to make a list. Uh, Maybe I'll just make a WordPress site. Call it Documentaries with Brian Croydreg, and if I recommend it or not. Uh, Give reviews on documentaries if I recommend them or not. Horses. There are some documentaries I will not touch. Documentaries that try to paint Ramesses as the pharaoh of the Exodus uh, are pretty much a batch I will not touch. No genuine believer believes Ramses was the pharaoh of the Exodus. Genuine believers believe believe it was someone of the 18th dynasty, not in the 19th. Am I a genuine believer? Well, I believe in the crucifixion of Christ. Uh, there's no historical evidence for the Exodus. But on the other hand, it's a part of my culture's national epic. I'm Gaelic after all. Gaelic Irish on my dad's side, Highland Scottish on my mum's. Ethnically I'm Gaelic. Culturally, I don't think I belong to a culture. I didn't even know what my family was until I was 10 years old. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm strict. I am the most Gaelic person I know by meaning my, well, it's both, when I say I'm the most Gaelic person I know, I'm talking about what my immediate families are, their origins are. You have to remember that and I can't believe I'm using this term, but going native was a thing. Still is. Of course, I wouldn't really use that. It's kind of the term's offensive. Integrate into the local society. That might be a bit better. You had Normans, Englishmen, integrating into Gaelic society. The Norse Gaels are a prominent example. Norsemen adopted aspects of Gaelic culture, converted to Christianity, married into the local populace. It's the wonderful thing about the melting pot. You might ethnically be something, but that doesn't mean your ancestry is strictly from that one country or region or whatever. Yeah. I've got some Norman ancestry. And I can trace my Norman ancestry from Ireland to Wales to England to, well, Normandy. And from that, oh good lord, I don't know. Has it ever really been determined just what Rollo was? Was he Danish? Was he Norwegian? I've no idea. If paleontologists argue long into the night of whether dinosaurs were warm-blooded or cold, then I'm pretty sure there are people who are arguing well into the night of whether Rollo was Danish or Norwegian. Personally, I don't really care. All that I care about is that he was. He existed. What? Hello? Oh, glory to the melting pot. Yeah, Ireland is uh, it was one of the most probably the most notable melting pot of the Middle Ages. I mean, obviously, you had the Norse Gaels who ultimately fully assimilated and became round Gaels. You had the Hiberno-Normans, some of whom assimilated themselves and became Gaelic. There are some places that have a funny way of absorbing people that tend to not try to conquer it or some such thing. The conquerors become part of the local populace. Due to Alexander the Great conquering Persia, the Achaemenid Empire, by defeating Darius III, he conquered Egypt, which, well, the Persians had conquered. Thrice, I might add. He did, of course, he did, of course, adopt some Persian customs, wore Persian robes. Uh, all three of his wives were Persian. At least I think. I'm not exactly sure what Roxana was. Pretty sure she was Persian. Of course, two of his wives were sisters. Really, it's the melting pot that can give you a wider range of ancestry. As I said, I've got some Norman ancestry. And the Normans themselves were, I mean, of course, they were descended from the Norsemen who settled in the area, but also had some Frankish ancestry. Good lord, where did the Franks even originate from? Somewhere in Germania, I'm guessing. I've never claimed descent from Charlemagne. I'm not Christopher Lee. Yeah, but there's a certain kind of irony. If you look at it a certain way. Well, no, exactly. It's completely ironic. Uh, the Normans invaded Ireland under the authority of the Pope, the then current Pope, and I'm not fond of that Pope. Do I remember his name? No, but why should I? One Pope back then is not much different from the other. The intent had been to conquer Ireland. They never did. It wouldn't be until the Tudors that anyone was able to conquer Ireland. Yeah, so the Normans invaded Ireland to conquer it, never succeeded. And let's face it, my family, by the time of the Tudor conquest, was one of the dominant families in Ireland, dominant Gaelic families. Yeah, I'm a McCarthy. I've no shame in saying it. Yeah, my ancestor was a rival of Brian Boru. So, yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, by the time of the Tudor conquest of Ireland, basically, a lot of the land that, well, yeah, they were pretty much stuck with just Dublin. Just Dublin. That's Dublin and the area around it. That's pretty much all that was left of the lordship of Ireland that was established after the Norman invasion. They had a pretty good chunk of it once upon a time, but by the time of the Tudor conquest, they just lost lost everything but Dublin and the surrounding area. Normans, Englishmen, they'd gone Gaelic. Yeah, geez, my ancestry is spread across two islands and Western Europe, I'd say. I had to do a lot of research into our family history for a college assignment. Oh, mm, some time ago. The amount of times my uh, how do I put this? Surprisingly, I have a yeah, I've got some royal ancestry. Well, the legendary High King of Ireland, Con of the Hundred Battles, ancestor of mine. Yeah, twice over, I should say. Uh, both sides of the family. The McCarthy clan is one of the, well, it's one of the clans of the Yoganotsta. Not exactly sure how that's pronounced. Uh, whose founder is, or was, I should say, was descended from Con of the Hundred Battles, and then you have my mom's family, Clan MacNeil, which was, or is, I should say, descended from, well, founded by, I don't know, founded by, descended from, I'm not exactly, I can't remember right now, I'm pretty sure it's descended from Neil of the Nine Hostages, another High King of Ireland, who was descended from Con of the Hundred Battles, so, yeah. Not, you could make the argument that I'm kind of like Catherine Hepburn in that regard, who was descended from Eleanor of Aquitaine through both of her marriages, through Henry II of England and what's his name of France, Louis or something or other. I don't know. The French monarchy is long and, quite frankly, doesn't really cross over into any uh so yeah, enough about my ancestry and melting pots and all that. Oh, right, I did kind of go nowhere with that Alexander the Great talk, but the Greeks certainly did go Egyptian. I mean, obviously, the Ptolemaic dynasty adopted the brother marrying sister thing. Yeah, don't use the term going native, go native. Say integrated with the local population. Because let's face it, the Greeks weren't the local population. The Normans were not the local population. They integrated and eventually became a part of the local population. Oh, and that brings me to another subject. I know we were supposed to be moving away from the melting pot subject, but I can't understand why the concept of the crossroads and the melting pot offends so many. It's a genuine fact, a known fact, that Egypt has always had people of every skin, well, not every, well, maybe every, but all sorts of hair and skin colors. Ramses II was a fair-skinned redhead, and that's because, well, obviously his family was descended from immigrants. So the question is, why? What is this? What's this? They were white, they were black. No, they weren't. They were everything. Why does that? Why does removing everyone else from the equation matter? Oh, and let's face it, pretty much everyone of some skin or hair color ruled Egypt at one point or another, so what difference does it make their, what their skin was? The fair-skinned Ramses, well, his family was fair-skinned, his family was red-haired, for a time being. I say for a time being because, with that black hair on Merneptah's head, I doubt he was a redhead. His mother, Iset Nofret, we know she wasn't, we know she wasn't Ramses' sister, she wasn't Ramses' daughter. That's the extent of our knowledge. Oh, jeez. Uh, so yeah, I'm pretty sure in thinking Merneptah was, his hair was black. I'm pretty sure in thinking that. Skin, well, keeping the melting pot and crossroads thing in mind, I said no for it could have been anything. And I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna argue he was something or other. We know what Ramses was. He was a redhead. He was a fair-skinned guy. Yeah, we know that. And Iset Nofret, she's open to interpretation. We don't know what she was. She could have been anything. I mean, the extent of our knowledge is that because of that black hair on Merneptah's head, she must have been black-haired herself. Two red-headed parents could not have produced a black-haired parent, a black-haired child. That's not how genetics works. And well, let's face it, while Ramses did have some wives who he was related to, some of them being his own daughters and one possibly being his sister. She was either his sister or his daughter. I have no idea which. Um, the fact is, not all of Ramesses' wives were related to him. Nefertari, Iset Nofret, they weren't related to him. So while we know Ramses the First, Seti the First, Ramses the Second, fair-haired, fair-skinned and red-haired. Um, Ramesses' children? I don't know. Keeping in mind that Nefertari and Iset Nofret were not related to him, they could have been anything. It's entirely possible they weren't even of the same ethnic groups. So, for all we know, one of them could have been that brown-skinned, black-haired look that we traditionally identify with Egypt. That's the local populace. That was the local populace that, uh, uh, yeah, that was the local populace. That's our idea of, that's the common idea of Egypt. Even though it was a melting pot and crossroads, that had all sorts. So let's keep this in mind. What were Nefertari and Iset Nofret? I mean, yes, having a definitive idea of what they looked like is really good. I think what's more important is that the fact that they existed. Ramesses knew companionship, he knew love. I'm a redhead myself. Of course, my hair is darkened a bit, so I'm a dark red, bordering on brown in some lights. It depends. My hair was a brighter red when I was younger. But it's pretty much darkened. You can still tell in my beard that I'm a redhead. My beard and mustache. But with less hair, it definitely depends on the lighting. I'm currently reddish brown, brownish red, not sure how to describe it, but I definitely identify as a redhead, and I really don't like it when a historical redhead's hair is changed to something that wasn't that color. And I can't believe I'm about to use this example. Henry VIII, he was a redhead. Has he ever been portrayed as one on screen? I've no bloody idea. I've never seen a portrayal with red hair. I mean, obviously I can't use Ramses as an example because we didn't find out he was a redhead until 1994. And on the record of that fair skin thing, fair skin does not equal white. I'm not saying he was white. Light skin does not equal white. Dark skin does not equal black. Yeah, I'm going on record there. Am I right myself? Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna say that anyone who's light skinned or fair skinned is right. That's moronic. It's borderline moronic. Uh, returning, but on that Ramses thing, I'm not gonna get up in arms because something before 1994 portrays him with black hair. I mean, how is anyone supposed to know? It's not like the microscope inspection of his roots had, because he lived to be 90. Let's face it, the only way you're gonna tell someone's hair was red at that point in their life is by microscopic inspection of the roots. We didn't know back then. I'm not gonna get angry because Ewan Brenner was black haired. I'm gonna get angry because his performance wasn't that good. Well, it was good. It was, how do I put this? How do I put this? Uh, he wasn't equal to Charlton Heston. He wasn't equal to Cedric Hardwicke. Yeah, he wasn't equal to his co-star. He wasn't equal to the person whose son he's supposed to be playing. And that's another thing. I can't exactly buy Cedric Hardwicke and Ewan Brenner as father and son. I can buy Christopher Lee and Frank Langella as father and son, but not Cedric Hardwicke and Ewan Brenner. I don't honestly have a better chance believing Charlton Heston was playing Cedric Hardwicke's son than Ewan Brenner was. Oh, but portraying historical redheads as something other than redhead, oh, that really gets me going. Is John Lackland my favorite English monarch? Oh, definitely not. But still, I'd like to see him actually portrayed with red hair. But thankfully he has actually been portrayed with red hair, but, yeah, it's kind of an inconsistency. Yeah, with the Plantagenets, there's a special inconsistency. You can find Henry and Richard with, I mean, no, you can't find, I don't think I've ever seen Henry II with red hair. What even was Peter O'Toole's hair color? I'm pretty sure he was brown. Either that or he was a dark red like me. So, put a maybe on him. But yeah, there isn't really a consistency with Richard and John. Good lord. I mean, even in the same movie there isn't a consistency. Ian Hunter was blonde or something like that, and Claude Rains was pretty obviously a redhead. Both brothers were redhead. What was going on there? Jeez, what was Eleanor of Aquitaine's hair color? I don't know. It must have been something for she must have either been a redhead or thing that would make the red-headed gene dominant, because that's how genetics works. My parents, both dark redheads. And thus so am I. Of course, my beard and mustache, they're pretty much obviously red, but my hair right here is pretty much darkened, as I've repeatedly pointed out. What a noise, are those pumpkins? They are pumpkins, I think. Yeah, they're pumpkins. And I'd like to go on record, that Nefertiti and Isaac Nofret, them having, that thing about them having, they could have been any hair or skin color, that's the truth. And it applies to a lot of others. Horemheb, he had been born a commoner. He eventually became pharaoh, so for all, we don't know what he was. I don't exactly care. I'm open to any kind of actor playing him. Until I doubt we ever will. We know Ramses' family was red-haired and fair-skinned. That's pretty much the only one I think we know of. Of course, with black hair, could have been anything. Skin could have been anything. Red hair occurs. Red hair's not a strictly European thing. Everyone, a good portion of people know that. When I was discussing this at placement, well, someone said, when I brought up the Ramses family having been descended from immigrants, and them having been fair-skinned and redhead, they said, oh, so they were Celtic? And I went, no, red hair is not a strictly Celtic thing. I might be of Celtic heritage, but I'm not gonna claim red hair as being strictly Celtic. You'd have to be, oh, so stupid to do that. Scandinavia, Mongolia. Where is Celia? I'm pretty sure that's... Was that located in what we now call Russia? I don't know, but... Red hair... It's... not strictly Celtic. I don't exactly care, where Ramses' family came from. Have I ever seen portrayals of Horemheb? Yeah, I have. Two portrayals. One in the film The Egyptian, where he was played by Victor Mature. Or whatever his name was, I don't rightly remember. And the miniseries Touch, where he was played by Nonzo Anozie. So he's been played by a white actor and a black actor, and as I said, he could have been anything. Who did I prefer? Nonzo Anozie, and that's because he's a better actor than Victor Mature ever was. Oh, I should also go on record that red hair is not a strictly light-skinned thing either. You can be dark-skinned and have red hair also. There are some people in Oceania who have dark skin and red hair. I could populate a cast with entirely red-haired people and have them be any skin color. Oh, me getting on the subject of red hair. You know, Genghis Khan was red-haired. That's Genghis Khan, for those who don't recognize the proper pronunciation. There's no hard K sound in the Mongolian language. And yes, Genghis is the actual pronunciation. Mongolia is itself also a melting pot. You get people of all sorts of hair colors. Skin too. But that does not mean Genghis Khan was white. Red hair does not equal white. I just I just said that there are even dark-skinned people with naturally red hair. Come on, what kind of an idiot do you have to be to... Oh, right, that kind of idiot. There are racists who try to claim Genghis Khan as having been European, but good lord, those bastards. Uneducated, unintelligent, insane probably also. I dare say uncivilized as well, but a lot of people know that. So well, obviously with a local and populous thing, we've had pharaohs with black hair, and with Ramses and his family being red-haired, we've had red hair, and of course, with the Nubian pharaohs, dark brown, I'd say. Have we ever had any blonde pharaohs? Um, well, the first ones that come to mind would have to be, well, they'd have to be the Roman pharaohs. Yeah, there are a good chunk of Roman emperors who were referred to as pharaohs. And the Emperor Commodus was blonde, so let's see, we've had red hair, brown hair, black hair, we've now covered blonde hair. Is there any hair color I'm missing? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I dare say we've had every hair color ruling Egypt at some point or another. I, I mean, obviously with the local populace, black hair. I'm making a guess on the Nubian thing since, well, it could have, well, they had to be related, obviously. So black, brown, black or dark brown. It's possible. I don't. I've no idea. I've no bloody idea. Like I even know. Black hair is a given. Red hair we know from Ramses' family. Blonde, obviously Commodus. Maybe, no wait, I'm pretty sure Alexander the Great was blonde also. Golden haired, but brown, not that I can say for certainty, I mean, yes, obviously had. There's always been Egyptians of all sorts of skin and hair color, but I can't rightly say. I can't with full assurance say Egypt's had monarchs of every hair color. I mean, it probably has. Who am I kidding? Yeah, that portrayal of Egypt as just one skin and hair color, it really just grinds my gears. Why the hate for the melting pot? Good lord, no, I said I'd be moving away from that subject, but why? This is probably a heavy thing to get into, but why does the concept offend people so? They were white, they were black. No, they were everything. Egypt, the Persian Empire, the Roman Empire, melting pots all, and people seem to be perfectly fine with pretending they weren't. I don't understand it. I don't understand why the concept offends people. The mixing of different seeds makes the most beautiful of flowers. I'm sorry about getting heavy here, heavy subject matter. I know of a documentary. I've not seen it, but it's narrated by Morgan Freeman and does argue on if Ramses was the pharaoh of the Exodus. I can't say I'll ever watch it. I mean, maybe I will for a laugh. Because let's face it, no one. It's pretty much he's not accepted as the pharaoh of the Exodus. And yet I find him being portrayed as such. I don't like it. It's just name recognition. It is purely name recognition. And Merneptah, it doesn't make any sense for either of them to be a pharaoh of the Exodus. Canaan was under Egyptian rule during the 19th dynasty, maybe longer. I don't know, I gotta figure that part out. It was definitely under Egyptian rule during the reigns of Ramses and Merneptah, and Merneptah is the one who, a campaign during his reign, wiped out Israel. Not a country, but a tribe, a people. Yeah, yeah, if the Hebrews did actually go there, Merneptah pretty much killed them. No Samson. I mean, there's a David, obviously. We have the historical record for him. And another thing, I don't appreciate the people portraying Merneptah as weak, or having ruled for a few years. That's not accurate. A weak ruler would not have successfully defeated the sea peoples in their invasion. His short rule, 10 years. Do you know why? Because he was an old man when he became pharaoh, when he succeeded his father. Ramses the Great lived to be 90. He outlived his first 12 sons. How old do you think Merneptah was? As the 13th son. If you want a weak ruler, I suggest you look at Amenmesi or Seti II. Pharaohs with shorter reigns than him and don't have the luxury of or the excuse of having been old men when they became pharaoh. Jeez, what even was Amenmesi? Was he Merneptah's son or his brother? I have no idea. Nobody does. It's something that everyone... I don't know. It's something that's debated long into the night by Egyptologists. I don't know, probably. There's probably something that every sort of historian and archaeologist argues about long into the night. Seti II we know for a fact was Merneptah's son. And keeping that in mind, I really don't understand why... forget it. Portraying Merneptah as a pharaoh and his first son being an infant makes... His firstborn son being an infant makes no bloody sense. There are things that don't make any sense when you look at them through a historical lens. I mean, a prince having not, a monarch having not, how do I put this? A monarch having fathered children until he's actually become a monarch just isn't, it's just not smart. Merneptah obviously had fathered children long before he became pharaoh. Good lord, it's just something I get talking about. Yeah, that's just me being a broken record, isn't it? But then again, it's kind of me breaking down the illogical things, isn't it? I mean, with Egypt having been crossroad and melting pot since time immemorial, it doesn't make sense to portray everyone as all of the same hair and skin color. If Merneptah became pharaoh at the age of 60, then why would he be waiting until then to father children? No, seriously, answer me that. Merneptah's wife, Iset Nofret II, is believed to have been the daughter of Merneptah's elder brother Kamreset. He never lived to become pharaoh. He fathered children. It just makes no sense. Why portray it like that? Merneptah was not a young man. So I can't understand why you'd portray him by someone under the age of 60. I mean, Frank Langella, that's forgivable. He's an excellent actor. But what's his name from Moses the Lawgiver? Oh, I could go on about that. It's bizarre. It's perfectly bizarre. Because historically, Merneptah was Ramses' son. Moses the Lawgiver portrays him as his grandson. Moses' adoptive mother is the daughter of Ramesses in that miniseries. Yeah, 6-part. Has Burt Lancaster as Moses. I highly recommend it. Just be warned, there are some disturbing parts. But how do I put it this way? Moses' mother is the daughter. His adoptive mother is the daughter of Ramses. And Merneptah's father he never physically appears, but he's made in reference to as the brother of Moses' adoptive mother. Oh, good lord, if it's not, the Ten Commandments and making reference to the Battle of Kadesh having been fought under Seti, it's a bizarre combination of Merneptah and Amenmesi, since he's the only grandson of Ramses who's been put forward for the role of Pharaoh of the Exodus. When, Moon of Israel, It's a H. Rider Haggard novel. The whole reason he even wrote that is because he believed that Amenmasi and not Merneptah was the pharaoh of the Exodus. Uh, so what does that tell us? Well, given a book, it's titled Ancient Egypt or something or other, it also makes a case for Merneptah being pharaoh of the Exodus. Not a good case. I mean, if you refer to Merneptah as a weak ruler, I'm not gonna take it seriously. No, I'm closing the book. I'm leaving the page. I'm exiting the document. Whatever you want to say. Merneptah continued his father's steady rule for an additional decade. And then his successors just killed it. Powerful men beget unspeakable whelps. Well, if Merneptah really was the father of Amenmasi, that is the case. If Seti II and Amenmasi really were half-brothers, then they must certainly have been the most unspeakable of whelps. I mean, I'm not gonna get on Seti I's case of an 11-year rule. I mean, he apparently had a heart condition. Ramses I, he had a 2-year rule. He was past his prime. He was in his 50s at that point. Seti I apparently died of a heart ailment. We get that from, instead of the hands being located in the middle, they're located directly over the heart. Oh jeez, Seti II and Amenmasi, what unspeakable whelps you must have been to have killed the empire your family had created. Yeah, I blame them completely and their civil war. Seti II never should have left Egypt, never should have... What was he doing? He was on some diplomatic mission. He shouldn't have gone. Of course, Amenmasi is probably the only candidate from the pharaoh of the Exodus who is also a candidate for the historical Moses. Good lord, is that ever bizarre. But I'm not gonna get into that. I get into that enough times as it is. This pharaoh of the Exodus thing. I might never cover the Exodus in a story. And if I were, it would be more an adaptation of that segment of the National Epic of Ireland, the Book of Invasions. Yeah. I don't know, might never cover the Exodus. Because I don't want people yelling at me that so-and-so was actually the pharaoh of the Exodus. I am never going to besmirch Ramses or Merneptah's name. I'm Brian Croydragon signing out. Stay straight.